Everything's coming up to Timberwolves. Yeah, in the zone. Simple dedication to the team when you're in the know. To Timberwolves. Yeah, in the soul. Lifting all the positivity for the Wolves to grow. So, where we going from here, man? We listen week to week to get the clearest to clear. Recaps, got that. Soundcap, got that. Team ads, got that. So tell me what they do not have, huh? Foolish question to ask, but I don't mean to go brag. But boy, they got all the stats, and they could go all the way back from KG to Zerbiak. And all I'm saying is that the cast a one-stop shot for my Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Ain't a thing falling, everything's coming up. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Falling from the autumn, ain't nobody gonna stop him. It's the Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Phonies, you can spot them, they the sheep under their clothes. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Talk a lot about them, y'all don't really know. Let's go.
Welcome into another Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined as always by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
I'm optimistic. I like the way things have been, been kind of playing out the last couple games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have been looking pretty good. I thought, particularly if you're watching this live, we're recording this on a Monday before the second Portland game. I thought last night or 2 nights ago we looked pretty good. I thought we played pretty well. Portland's a good team. That was a full strength Portland team. Like they were missing barely anybody. If anybody, I can't remember anyone they were missing. So let's get right into it. The title of the episode is the Gobert experiment. Oh, by the way, Jared Good couldn't make it this week. Hopefully he'll be back. Actually, his computer broke, so hopefully he'll be able to. Yeah, we'll see. I gave him a tip to fix Chromebooks, but we'll see how it works. But so overall, let's give it a grade. How do you think the Gobert experiment has gone so far? If you had to give it a grade, and then explain the grade.
What are we? We're 25% of the season or something like that.
I would say. Yeah.
I would say I'd give it a B minus.
B minus, okay.
Why a B minus? I think he's pulling his weight. I mean, Gobert himself, I think I would say is a B plus. He's doing about what I would expect. He's, probably in the league leaders in field goal percentage. I think Finch's idea to kind of expand him offensively in the beginning of the year kind of looked like maybe, but I think lately it's starting to have benefits. Where in that Portland game, I mean, he was dominating post, not just pick and roll play. He's top 3 in the league in rebounding. Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing fine. The part of the experiment that might be at a C level right now is, the roster and him vibing and playing well together. Right. That's not quite hitting yet, but man, it looked like it's been working quite a bit better with Cat out the last couple of weeks. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Like you're saying, it has been a lot better. And man, I feel like Gobert's hands has almost gotten better. Like he had a great snatch last night where I think it was Jaden threw him a low ball and he got it almost between his legs, went up and dunked it. So, I mean, that was my number one gripe with Gobert early on was actually 2 things. My 2 gripes with Gobert. I felt like he wasn't rim protecting enough. And also I felt like he didn't have good enough hands, but his hands have gotten a lot better so far. I believe.
I think he heard the criticism. I think he heard the criticism from everybody. And what I'm starting to see more from him, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that, says I said it last episode, but when we were talking about him being a leader, we were talking about him being a leader. And I said with Cat out, Edwards and Gobert will be able to step into that spot because Cat was sort of like the, crowned king of the team just because he's been there the longest and he's been the most storied, but he's not really a leader. And I see a lot of communication with Ant and Gobert on the court. I see a lot of talking going on out there. And I think Gobert's starting to take some of that leadership role. And that block that won the game for us a couple of nights ago, he said
Yeah.
that he didn't name a name, but he said when they try to isolate me, when Buddy Hield, this was an Indiana game, when they tried to isolate me earlier, he got a bucket because one of my players got in my way. And I told him, don't help when I'm, on the perimeter on a guy. Don't help because I'll be able to come and block the shot. And that's exactly what he did to win the game. And it was Edwards who helped and got in the way the first time, and he stayed away the second time. And I think Edwards is starting to learn how to use his picks. I think Gobert's starting to be able to get guys open in the flow. I mean, D'Lo's playing in the flow. Edwards is playing in the flow more. It's really starting to click. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the whole thing is the whole debate is whether or not once Cat, and we can talk about this later, obviously, because he won't be back for a little bit. Once Cat comes back, will that mess up the flow, or will he be able to just slide in and play like remember at the beginning of the season we were talking about, oh, this is the best starting lineup we've ever had. Will he be able to just that's what we were talking about. But will he be able to just kind of slide in and bring it, or will it take an adjustment? It'll be interesting to see. But man, let's talk a little bit about D'Lo a little bit, because just looking at his stats just from the last 3 games, I got him up here. Against the Pacers, obviously he went in flago in the fourth quarter. I mean, that was an amazing. Was it the Pacers or was that the Jazz? I can't remember. The fourth quarter.
It was, I think, the Pacers. He had 6 threes in the fourth, wasn't it?
Yes. No, it was the Jazz. It was the Jazz. But anyway, against the Pacers, 28 points, 9 for 18, 4 threes. Against the Jazz, 30 points, 12 for 16, 9 threes. 6 threes. And then last night, 24 points, 9 for 15, 4 for 5 from behind the 3-point line. So not only are we seeing good D'Lo, we're seeing efficient D'Lo as well. What do you think's changed? Do you think it's just not having Cat as an option, or do you think it's more than that?
I think that's part of it. So he's mentioned that for the other years he's tried to be the point guard, and he wants to be like, the Chris Paul style point guard, keep the offense flowing, keep everybody moving, that type of thing. And when you've got a guy like Cat's not a dump it to him, he gets his own basket type of guy. He's like where you put in the work and you kick it to him and he finishes. He finishes with a slot 3. He finishes with a 3 from up top. Maybe a pump fake and drive, but he's not, Embiid where he's pounding it in the post, putting on multiple moves to get a bucket kind of guy. So
getting every foul goal.
You're right. I think D'Lo was sacrificing a little bit of his own game to try to help others. And he said now he's just kind of being a basketball player. And what I'm seeing is a lot more playing off the ball, where they've got, Slow-Mo Anderson pretty much running point guard and finding D'Lo, finding other guys, taking some of that off him and letting D'Lo be the shooter. And I mean, that's what the idea that Rosas had when we got him. They wanted D'Lo to be our James Harden, a guy that can pass but is offensive minded, and that's why we had Rubio as a point guard. We wanted both to be in there together. Rubio to run the team and D'Lo to play off him and to score. So it's kind of happening now, but instead of Rubio, it's Anderson.
Yeah, and we can talk about that. Kyle Anderson, he has been great the last couple games. In fact, the Jazz game almost had a triple-double, which is crazy. I mean, you talk about things that like happen out of nowhere, like for example, Corey Brewer's 50-point game or Brandon Jennings' 50-point game. How about Kyle Anderson almost having a triple-double? Man, it's going to be interesting and I know we talked about this, when Cat comes back. It's going to be hard, I feel like, to take Slow-Mo out of the starting lineup because he's perfect there.
Yeah, I think what we're going to be able to take from this is there's going to be large chunks of of each game where Cat isn't going to be in there,
Right.
and these guys will now have a rhythm like that. Same as when our bench squad's in there with like Nas and Noel and J Mac, the point guard.
Mhm.
They've got a rhythm and a flow from together and getting a lot of reps together.
Right.
So maybe I don't know, and I talked about it when Cat got hurt last episode. Is it'll be big to see if Cat is mature enough to sit back and watch this from like a 50, 100-foot, 1,000-foot view of the game right now, and where can I fit in? See, they're doing well.
Mhm.
How can I fit in? And I think Dane Moore was talking about on his podcast just the other day that in that Portland game we played well, but we kind of got out talented at the end. And that's something
Right.
that if you add Karl Anthony Towns, our talent level now goes above theirs. And he has to learn how to fit in, not to
Mhm.
try to make others to fit into him.
Right.
And that'll be a maturity test for him because if that works, we could be great. I mean, the whole point of that trade, the Gobert trade, wasn't because it's going to be an easy fit and everything is going to be seamless.
Mhm.
It pushed our ceiling higher for our team. And that's the
Right.
goal because the goal is to win a championship. If we wanted to just stay middle of the playoffs, low to middle playoffs, we would have stayed put. And that's fine. But we're going to win a title. And you have to push
Right.
your ceiling as high as you can if that's the goal.
Right. I'm trying to think of like an equivalent team that were just I'm gonna say like the Indiana Pacers. They were always kind of in the
Yeah,
mix, but not really a
for
contender or
sure.
anything. Or maybe,
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
the Portland Trailblazers, for example.
That's true,
I
yeah.
mean, they've always been like a 5, 6 seed kind of thing. They had one
Mhm.
little run, but no one was really scared of them.
Right.
And they had to blow it up and change it up and to see what they could do. They got lucky that Simon's turning into an equal bit as good
Yeah.
as McCollum was.
He's good. He's a killer.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he can shoot like man, and that's also what we got to remember, particularly about Sunday night's game. There were or Sunday night, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night's game there was like one or two plays that could have changed the entire outlook of the game. For example, that one where we played good defense for 22 seconds, long rebound, and then they go and then a Simon's three. And then the other one, we play good defense for 22 seconds. They have an inbound. Grant basically just turns around, throws it up, and hits the shot. Like if those two things don't happen, it's a tie game.
For sure.
And that's kind of what
It's
I
the
love.
one thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go.
Oh,
The
that
one thing
I was
that
going to
blows my
say.
mind, right?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The, the one thing that blows my mind right now with our roster is when we go two bigs, we can't rebound. And I don't get that. Like, even when it's
Yeah.
Nas and Gobert or Towns and Gobert, like, we're still not rebounding. And I mean, that's the thing that should be easy money when you're going that big. So that's the thing that I think pushes us down and how the Gobert experience is doing is
Right.
for some reason we're not rebounding, even though he is.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. Like he absolutely is. But you'll see, like particularly games like when Cat will play with Gobert. Cat, his points will be fine, but he'll end with like 3 rebounds or something like that. Like he's
Yeah,
just
or
not
6
rebounding.
or something.
Yeah, or 6 or something like that. But I wonder I will say a lot of them, and maybe it's just not the big's not tracking the ball, or maybe the guard's not tracking the ball. A lot of them seem to be long rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Like where they'll shoot
But that's
three
the
and they'll
NBA.
yeah, right. No, for sure. For sure.
That's the new NBA. Everyone's shooting 100 threes. So we have to learn to rebound at like the free throw line, like set up a wall there. But how many times have we seen that good defense and then long rebound, offensive rebound, 3-pointer killer? Like that's happened all year long, and stop that if we're going to do anything in the playoffs.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I don't think it's been all year long. I think that's just Wolves history. I mean, like we've been seeing that for years. going on. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it feels like more than any other team, but I'm sure it's not. But man, it's just it's kind of crazy. How do you think? And we'll talk about your boy Nas. Nas obviously getting more playing time with Cat being out. How do you think he's looked? Typical Nas, or what do you think?
I mean, it's how many times do you see a 16-minute 15-point performance from Nas? Like he does that all the time. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel for the guy because he's really not getting that. He got 16 minutes last game. Like
yeah,
he's really not getting that much more because Anderson's there taking us now, and Anderson's playing well. So I mean, I can't be mad at that.
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish not next time he plays on, he gets to play 25 minutes a game consistently. I hope he signs a 1-year deal and he shows that he's worth, a good NBA contract because, I mean, not like he's, living under a bridge, but we've talked about it a couple of times. I think he's played 5 years and made $6 million total. Like that's not very much for an NBA contract.
I mean, particularly like remember like how long? Remember that one off season where like everyone was getting big contracts, like Matthew Dellavedova,
Timothy Mozgov.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention. Mozgov, like he's got to make at least Mozgov money, like from back then. Because I mean, I'd rather have Nas Reed 100 times rather than Timothy Mozgov. I mean,
for sure.
And like you said, like it is hard. I mean, it's not super hard to feel bad for them because at the end of the day, they're still millionaires. But still, relatively, what Nas could be making versus production. Like I'm looking at this game, like you were mentioning, 14 minutes, 15 points, 6 for 12, 2 blocks. Like that's starter. I mean, that in the amount of minutes he's putting up starter stats. Like that's Nick Claxton would put up those kind of stats. Like, right. And he starts for the Brooklyn Nets. So, I mean, that's solid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the deal with Nas is. I think part of the problem is he's really effective as a center. He's not very effective as a power forward right now. And we've got 2 All-NBA centers. So,
tough.
he's the third center. And even now, when he's the second center, when Gobert plays 35 minutes, there's only 12 minutes left,
right.
13 minutes left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a tough situation. Could you see the Wolves like dealing him could you see the Wolves dealing him at the trade deadline potentially?
I mean, I would hope so if you could find someone that sees a value in him. I mean, I just don't know what kind of value he has league wide, but I would deal him for. I mean, it depends where we're sitting. If we're not going to make a championship run this year, I don't think. But if everything comes together, it's nice to have an insurance policy of Nas Reed if one of those bigs goes down.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, it's just feeling bad for Nas because he can do more. He's more than just an insurance policy. Like, he really is.
And this is a contract year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, he's going to be a restricted free agent, and nobody's going to really see him. They're like, oh, this guy gets, 11 minutes a game. Well, I'm not going to open the pocketbook. So he's not going to get much of a contract. And maybe Timberwolves will get him back on another sweetheart deal. Who knows?
That'd be great. Man, how about, I remember, I think it was before last season, the Wolves made a couple moves. Like, it was just bottom of the barrel. We don't even remember moves. We signed J-Mac and we signed Nas Reed. And man, those I know J-Mac's hurt right now, but looking back, those deals were, and Noel, those deals are really helping us right now.
Yep, and we just called a guy up from the G League that's on the exact same deal with Minot. We called him up, and he's on like a 4-year total $5 million deal too.
Do you think
every single year is a team option? So if he plays terrible, we can just say you're gone, and if he plays amazing, just better for us. I mean, it's great deals for the team.
Do you think we'll see some Minot coming up soon? Like on the floor, or do you think you'll get into the rotation at all?
I wanted to see Minot when McDaniels was out because I
Oh,
think
sure.
he's more of kind of like a wing, sort of like small forward, power forward type guy. I don't know how long Prince is out for, but maybe, yeah. I mean, we don't have much at small forward behind McDaniels, and it's not like McDaniels is lighting the place on fire. So, yeah, I would do that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I'd like to see him play too. Amazingly, we saw a little bit of Luca Garza, who from all I missed this game. I was at a concert, but looked a little lost out there from what I saw.
I think in 2 minutes, his plus minus was minus 13. So, I mean, it's not all on him, but a lot of it
Right,
was kind of on him.
right. He did have
Turns
4
out
points.
he's super, super slow. Like offensively, he can hang, but like he's got cement shoes on. He like can't move his feet at all. So whenever you put him in a pick and roll, it's just dead meat. And Miles Turner just slaughtered him. Like he
Yeah,
couldn't get out to cover him from three, and he wasn't fast enough to cover him on the roll. So it was pretty ugly.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was that's tough. I mean, I mean, Miles Turner, great player, but still, you
Yeah,
gotta. And I mean, we can't give up on him either because I mean, it's his first minutes of the season, and although he's not necessarily a rookie, like
exactly.
he
Like
played with the Pistons. Yeah,
other teams have sniffed around him before and given up on him. So I mean, whatever. I don't mind him, getting some reps in the G League, and if we need him, we need him. But I think it's time to understand that there's a reason that he was floating around free for anyone to pick up.
right. Yeah, and I think it's easy for fans to like just see a box score from the Iowa Wolves, be like, "Whoa, this guy put up 36. He'll be able to do
Yeah,
that here."
yeah,
Like, no,
yeah.
like for example, yeah. Go
Because
ahead.
he's going up against like a 6'7" center from Scranton or something like that.
Right? Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like, also, like, I feel like any NBA player can put up points given the right scenario. Yeah, I mean they're NBA players for a reason. Like for example, like Josh Okogie, there was a national televised game where the Suns were playing the Celtics, and Celtics were just getting, or the Suns were getting destroyed. So they gave Okogie long-term minutes. He put up 28 points and hit 4 threes. So, I mean, like, I feel like in any situation, any NBA player can go off.
So I've followed the G League some here and there, and especially I follow when NBA players go down to the G League for like a little stint.
Sure.
And pretty much if you're a wing and you're not averaging like 25, 10, and 10, like down there, you're not any good. Like if you're an NBA, like if you're a role playing NBA player, you should
Uh-huh.
be putting up MVP type, LeBron James type numbers in the G League every game. Like if you're not putting up those type of numbers, you're not that good in the NBA.
Right.
So if you're not, I mean, I think Minot's putting up like 18, 7, and 5 with like 3 blocks or something. Like he's putting
Right.
up crazy numbers, and
Yeah.
he's a couple of years away from being even a role player. So,
Right.
yeah, if you're in the G League, you better be destroying it if you want to be in the NBA.
And that's what's so crazy. Former number 2 overall pick James Wiseman is only putting up 15 points a game in the G League.
Yeah, he's not.
And his plus minus is awful too, from what I hear. I mean,
There's he's got some learning to do. He's definitely a raw project. He's got everything athletically to
mhm,
be the thing, but I mean, there's definitely a knock at this AAU system where when you pick a guy like him, who's an athletic 7'1" guy, you
mhm,
can you can eat. You can do real well in the AAU system, just throwing him lobs and stuff like that.
right,
It's really not developing him as a player. And some of these guys come up to the league thinking it's just going to be like, candy on Halloween, like it's been their whole life. And it's not. It's a whole
right,
different sport. And 7'1" in athletic doesn't get you very far if you don't know what you're doing.
right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's what's crazy, like with that's why I think it's so good that like the G League Ignite exists. I mean, like let's go play against some real NBA players. Why dink around in like Conference USA or
Genius.
something like that? Like,
And get
don't get
paid
me wrong.
decent money.
Yeah. Yeah, and get paid. Yeah, absolutely. Go get paid. I mean, like what happens? You play G League for a year and you blow out your ACL. What happens in college? You make no money. Like
Yeah, at least you got 100 grand in your back pocket.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I like watching college basketball, but
Yeah.
I totally understand why these two, like for example, what was for Indiana Matherin, he was on G League, right? I believe.
No,
He
no,
wasn't?
he came from Kansas.
Oh shoot.
Kansas, not Kansas. He came from somewhere.
Oh, okay.
John Doe's got an idea up there.
Here, let me take a look. Here we go. We'll put it on screen. Trade cat, build around ants. What do you think? Oh, well, first of all, we can't do it for 6 months. So
Right.
that's the first thing. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. You can't say that it's a terrible idea. Like
No,
it could not be the right idea, but like I've been saying for a while, I would love to know what the value of cat is. Like what would I get, you know? And I think there's a world where cat is kind of the problem. But I need to know what the value is. If you give me
right.
a top 4 pick and you give me a young player that has high potential and you give me salary cap relief, I would look into it, you know. I think there's a world where Karl Anthony Towns, his style of play negatively affects the team. You know, he can put up numbers, but his moping, his lack of horizontal athleticism on defense and on offense, so he's kind of a one-trick pony,
Yeah.
affects us. Like the way I look at Cat is he's probably like the slowest small forward in the NBA. He's like one of the best shooting. Like I don't even know who he would be like. Like somebody who's so damn slow but is a great shooter, but he's a small forward. That's him. Like I don't see him as a center. I don't see him as even a power forward because he can't post anybody up.
Yeah, he
Like
doesn't.
I mean, if a decently strong shooting guard has got a low base, Cat's not backing him down. It's just not happening. And he'll get an offensive foul trying to force the facts. So
Right. Yeah.
Cat could be very, very valuable. It's just he's a very unique player, and he needs to fit in your system. That being said, if you gave me, something like you give me Chet, you give me
Ooh.
their first round back. They got a guy named Dang who I really liked in the draft. They drafted him like 15th, 16th. So you give me
Yeah.
Chet, Dang, and salary cap relief. I would think about it, or if you give me a top 5 pick in this next draft and, a player that's like maybe McDaniels level where it's like, yeah, I see some upside, but he hasn't quite shown it yet. And like $25 million in cap space. I'd think about it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people's best, matchups plus minus wise are not with Cat. I mean, he doesn't, for a guy that supposedly spreads the floor, Anthony Edwards is playing much better with Gobert than when he plays with Cat.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's gonna be interesting to see. The only thing, like you mentioned, Chet, the only thing I worry about is him coming back from an ACL. Sometimes you have no idea what they're going to look like.
For sure.
So it's possible, but so yeah, I don't know what this Twitter handle is. Ytram Goku. Is that like a reference? I have no idea. But package of Cat and D'Lo. D'Lo is a free agent, right? So he'll
be next year. It's so much money. Like that would be $60 million going out. So you would have to bring back $60 million. There's not very
Right.
many teams that have that sort of salary that they can move around. So I don't think that that's even possible. That was his next question is that even possible? And I don't really think it is.
Right.
I think what you'd almost do at that point is you would trade Cat and you would let D'Lo walk. And with maybe the 20 million in cap space you would save on Cat, hopefully, and then the 30 you'd save on D'Lo, you could package that cap space to make a move in free agency. But I don't think you
Mhm.
could make a trade with both those guys together.
Yeah, their contracts are just too big. That would be they'd have to
Just
give up a lot. Like,
you'd
and it
have
would
to,
probably be a max player
or
anyway.
there'd be multiple teams involved, and it'd be something that would be so mixed up that I can't even try to put it together. I mean, it's for sure possible, but that's a lot of money to move.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That would be interesting. I don't even know how that would even work out. But let's do you got any more? Should we put next to me? Actually, one more thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tonight a little bit. Wolves, Portland. Obviously Anthony Simons and Lillard did their thing against us last time, but man, some good shot making from us. What do we got to do differently against Simons and Lillard, or is there nothing we can do? We just got to hope they miss shots.
I think we rebound. I think we just have to rebound. I think if we can completely dominate the glass, that would go a long ways. I mean, obviously Lillard and Simons are going to get theirs. Those guys are crazy. Like all those shots, it's not like every shot was open. Those guys are just
Right,
shot makers. And when they're
right.
hot, they're hot. We held
Mhm.
Grant to almost nothing, and that guy was playing like an MVP for a couple weeks.
That's true.
So
I thought he was going to have a much bigger game than he did. He kind
exactly.
of,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe that's why Minot's up. It's very possible that we're going to stick Minot on, on one of those guys just to follow him and just have a longer athletic body, just kind of trying to messing with him, maybe taking Moore's minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. One thing I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
talk one thing I
yeah.
wanted to just touch
Good.
on is so last year we had a style of play with scrambling defense, forcing turnovers, getting out and running, and shooting mass amounts of three pointers. Led the league in three pointers taken. This year we're among the worst or among the lowest in three pointers taken, and we just started forcing turnovers now that Cat's out. Coincidence could not be. We also had a lot of practice time right around then, so I mean I don't want to put it all on Cat being gone, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of our identity coming through a little bit. Like we're shooting a ton of mid-range shots, and this whole flow thing that Finch has been beating into our heads is starting to happen with D'Lo playing off the ball more, with the unselfishness of Kyle Anderson with his little, gets to the lane and either shoots a little
Yeah,
floater
yeah.
or tosses up the pass to Gobert. With Edwards playing off those guys, we were starting to get our swagger or our rhythm, and I'm excited to see if that continues.
Yeah, me too. One more thing from the back to the cat conversation. I know you can see the tweet. I personally don't like it. I'm not a I believe me, I'm an on-court Kyrie guy, but off-court Kyrie guy, I don't know if I want to deal with that. But what do you think? Is this even possible?
I'm almost the opposite. I'm almost like
Okay,
off court. Like I know he's kind of he's not a smart person. I don't go to him for information. So I mean, I don't really care about his ideas on things. But he
sure.
seems like I think to heart, he's a nice guy. Like he's been very giving a lot of times to a lot of causes, but he's not that bright. But I don't like his play style on the court. I think that's starting to change a little bit now, but he's a very selfish player. He's a very isolation based player. And that's kind of what we're trying to beat out of our players right now with this whole flow system with,
Mhm.
making the extra pass, making the next pass, the ball will come back to you. So I don't really love that Kyrie
Yeah.
idea. I mean, I would move, I could think, I could maybe think low for him if they're looking for salary cap space, but they're both free agents. So yeah, I don't love that. I mean, Kyrie's the hot button. Everybody wants to say trade for him, but I don't know. I don't love him as a fit.
No, I don't either. And I don't know. I'm not offended by his off-court stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Just more noise we
Yeah.
don't need.
Right, for sure. Also, I don't know if you saw did you see the Gobert controversy today or not?
I did. I see he liked something that Elon said.
Yeah, something about like prosecute Fauci.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into this. I just want to say that it's not a good look. The guy who basically the first one that got COVID in the
Right.
NBA and touched all the
Patient zero.
microphones. Yeah, patient zero is tweeting to prosecute Fauci. I don't know if that's a good look, but
No.
we'll leave that there. We'll leave that there. Anyway, Chris, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, no problem, man. Go Wolves.
Absolutely. And this is the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and tell a friend as well. We're trying to get 150 subscribers, so help us get there. We're just a few away. And follow us on Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating because that helps up as well. And as always, go Wolves.